All right, today we are going to just go through the process of how to create the clamp. Let's see, I've got the clamp portion up. Let's bring up the assembly. There we are. So there's the finished product. Um, this is where I want you, the resting position. Okay. I want you to display the relationship. So there's the joint, the cylindrical joint. Um, we will go over together how to do the motion link. But I do want to see, oops, right click, the joint limits. So let's edit joint, motion, there's the slide action, and there's the limit. So I want this in your screenshot on your submission. Okay, now with this video, the purpose is not to go through step by step and show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how I did each component and the assembly. You are free to do it however you want, but this will give you ideas on how to approach it. Let's start off. Let's look at our dimension sheets. So here's what you're going to be working from. We're going to start off. Okay, here's the home position. Let's start off on the left-right plane, and we're going to draw this shape. So let's look at my first sketch, and here's the timeline. Okay, so you have the timeline to review right here. You can pause the video and see what I did step by step. So if I right click, edit sketch, there I am. Now, I would do this a little differently than what I did. I think I would have put this corner on the origin. I would have drawn a 2-point rectangle, 70 millimeters by 50 millimeters. Okay, now this opening, we know this gap is 40 millimeters across from top to bottom, and this is 35 millimeters deep. 50 minus 15 leaves me 35. So if I just drew another rectangle, 35 by 40, trim this line, so I gotta have an opening. There's my shape, finished sketch. Extrude it, the extrude. Now, so that's going to be on the right left plane. Okay, that sketch. My extrusion was symmetrical, so I went both directions. I believe this is 10 millimeters wide. I don't remember right off the top of my head. We'd have to go back and look at the dimension sheet. Yes, it's 10 millimeters wide. That would be my extrusion. Next step, fillets. Okay, so I filleted these corners. You can look at the dimension sheets to get the radius of the fillets. My next sketch is creating the circular ends. Let's look at that sketch real quick. One sketch will create both. It's just real simple, a circle. So I'm going to sketch on this face. There's my circle. Let's go back to the home position. 20 millimeters in diameter. I extrude it down. Then I change my starting point and extrude it up here for this second extrusion. So there's my two extrudes I just talked about. Now I've filleted these corners where my circle joined that end of that rectangle. And the last fillet here goes on these edges. Create my hole. I did use the hole feature, add my threads. Let's look at the threads real quick. You can stop, pause the video, and there's my threads. So M10 by 1.5 is designation. Modeled full length. Oh, what did I forget to do? I forgot to create my component, didn't I? So I came back and created my component. You should do that in the beginning. First step, create your component. These are unnecessary steps where I just added my initials over here. So that is the creation of the clamp. The screw. what did I do here? Okay, let's look at it from the front. Okay, so we see where the x-axis is. So you can start with this, or for some reason, probably wouldn't do this again. I started with the cylinder going up. Okay, there's my cylinder. I created my component, added my threads. You can pause this and you can see the threads. So the length of the threads come down 55 millimeters. All right, good. There's my thread designation. Now, you could start here on the top bottom plane and build up and then put your cylinder on top of this feature. It doesn't really make any difference. Probably more logical to start from the bottom and work up. So there, I believe that was a 15 by 15 millimeter. No, here it is back here. Yep, 15 by 15. All right. And that was extruded down. The fillets were added to these corners. So there's the extrusion, there's the fillets. The next sketch added, okay, so I came down, I drew a 15, or however that far down that extrusion was. I've got a vertical line in there. I centered so that my circle, notice it's in the center of the design here. So that must have been on the left-right plane. I drew my circle in the center and I did a symmetrical extrusion. Okay, now how far that extrusion goes, now that might be a little bit of let's edit feature. Let's look at this at the front. Now what it tells you, so I went 36 millimeters. How did I come to 36? Because what it tells you from here to the end of the spear is 25 millimeters. But my extrusion includes 7.5 millimeters. Okay, because this is 15 millimeters wide, 7.5 to the edge, 25 out to the edge. So I'm at 32.5. The diameter of the spear on the end that is drawn on the end of this extrusion, the diameter is 7 millimeters. So that means it's going to cut in another 3.5 millimeters. So 32 plus 3.5 will give me 36 millimeters. Okay, so that's where we're at. So there is the extrusion. Click OK. Add my spears to the end. Actually, I mirrored mine. Doesn't make any difference. If you want to do them both, you can do them both. If you want to mirror it, you can mirror it. It's absolutely fine either way. Last step, we're going to create a sketch up here on the top of my cylinder where the threads are. Draw a center diameter circle of 16 millimeters, and I'm going to extrude it 8 millimeters to put the cap on the end as a new body, and I fillet that top. So there I have the screw done. The assembly. All right. Notice where my joint is. It's a cylindrical joint. It's going to be difficult to match the center of the bottom side of that cap to the center of the opening on the bottom. But what if I matched up the center, there's my snap point here, to the center of the opening, or not the opening, but this circular shape up here, and then change my resting place. How far did I move it down? That opening is 40 millimeters, correct? Yeah, but that if I went down 40, that puts the top equal to that circle there. So the height of this is 8 millimeters. So I came down 32 millimeters, which places that bottom edge against this top edge. All right, but my joint is here. The joint is cylindrical. Let's look at the motion link. There's my motion link, and that's where I set it is. So I added a motion link to my cylindrical joint, which is a symbol, motion link, okay? I tied it to my cylindrical joint, and I dictated on the rotation and the slide, the distance to rotation is 360 degrees, but every time it rotates, I want it to move 6 millimeters. And that just increases my speed on the rotation. The cylindrical joint has motion limits. My motion, you can see my position. I moved it down 32 degrees. All right, the rotation has no limits. The slide, 32 millimeters, okay? Because my slide wanted to move down, I set my minimum at negative 32, so that it would go up and come back to 0. Remember, you got to look at which way your arrow's pointing. That is a run through on the assembly of the clamp, the creation and the assembly of the clamp. And now we are done, and I'm going to figure out how to stop this video because I am